About 5 years ago, my company brought in an individual to see if my position was no longer needed. I passed with flying colors. Not to give too much info away, I was hired at an organization as a job title of basically helper. Well, for someone who is supposed to just be helping, I had a ridiculous amount of work. Almost all of my coworkers were huge, technologically illiterate boomers. So I actually sort of thrived this as a very useful person. For example, one guy would spend half his day copying items and passing them into another program we use. He didn't even use circuit control, versus he would right-click, then copy, and then go into the files menu or something, and insert copied item from clipboard. He was so proud of himself when he showed me because, don't worry, you won't have to retype everything. I wrote a program to do this automatically, but did not tell him. So I would just run it occasionally as part of my responsibilities. Anyway, I did a lot of stuff like this. I'd estimate I saved about 15 hours of work every day, on top of the 8.5 hours I did too. But then insert Sergeant Fuckface. This wasn't the military, but I just like to call him that. We are having a team meeting when he shows up. White hair combed okay-ish, a scrunched face, glasses. He just showed up one day and took notes during our morning meeting. At one point, someone brought up a name of one of our customers. I said, "Oh, is that the 300 pounds guy with a big beard?" Sort of as a joke, because I mostly do back-end stuff. There was a guy like this I recently did some entrance stuff for. But I was wrong, and my boss said, no, it's blah blah, some other person. Okay. Then we talked about that person a bit. Fast forward about a week, and this SGTFF is a complete fucking douchebag to me. I don't know why. He will ignore me during group conversations and literally sometimes scoff at me. Who actually scoffs at people? I was having a really rough week looking for some extremely important files. People were yelling all day. I was exasperated. Too much to do, I was having anxiety attacks at home in the middle of the night. But it was Friday, so I was pulling through. As I looked for this file, I ended up deep on our file structure, and the search returned a personal folder structure within one of the drives. I clicked out of curiosity, and there it was, SGTFF's notes. I opened it, and there was a whole section about me. This guy basically goes from location to location, getting people fired to save the CEO's money. And he was working on me now. I scrolled through his notes, and at the very top I saw, Frosty thought a 4 feet 10, 24-year-old female patient was a 300 lb bearded man. Clearly atrocious attention to detail. That's just one example of how completely fucked up his comments were. So, in combination with my job, which I generally liked and enjoyed helping people, knowing I wasn't getting paid enough for my effort. This horrible week I had. In Sergeant Fuckface's comments, I said fuck this. I set up 3 email configurations. 1. To my boss, letting him know I will be taking 2 weeks of vacation time. To be sent at 10 p.m. tonight. 2. To the company, letting them know I will not be present for 2 weeks, so whatever work they currently need me to do, they will need to do themselves. To be sent Monday morning at 4 a.m. 3. For any emails that came in, I set an auto response that said, I will be out for an unknown amount of time. For any routine, emergency, or even occasional items, it is imperative you reach out to Sergeant Fuckface at XXXX for assistance. Then, I turned off every automated task I had ever set up. Then, I swung by FF's temporary office and said, I think I found a way to make your job easier. He didn't even really turn his head to look at me, but just raised one eyebrow. Then I left. I actually got multiple calls on Monday morning I didn't answer. It didn't last long, apparently. But I stayed strong and didn't respond to anything. On Wednesday, I had a little anxiety about it, but I stayed as strong as I could. I thought about the tasks that needed a 2-day turnaround. There's no way some of the guys were keeping up with their normal duties. Guaranteed at least 2 people were no longer doing their normal jobs just to keep up with my automated tasks. I got a long email to my personal account, I guess for my resume or when I interviewed, from my boss on Thursday night of the first week. It went something like this. Frosty, I know you're a smart person and probably figured out what the company had us doing. I would say it's very important you call me, but that probably isn't going to work, I see. I've talked with SGTFF's boss, and he will be leaving our location. I explained our progress meetings seem to be going in the wrong direction, and that you are one of our most valuable employees here. I am sure you are probably looking at other jobs at this point, or maybe you have even started one. I hope not. If you could please reach back to me, I would like to offer you a raise. It has become very apparent how useful you are around here. I hear about it every day, believe me. So I came back on Monday with a $10,000 raise and Sergeant Fuckface out of my face. My boss apologized again in person and said he didn't get a say in it. I think it's a little weird he could have a say after I left, but not before, but I sort of get it. I just want to unrelatedly say that while the world seems to be going to shit, every single one of us can start making a difference in it. Please just try to bicycle or walk to work once a week, or skip one meat-based meal every so often. Try out composting, or swap your dairy milk with almond/oat/coconut/etc/etc/etc milk. It's easy to blame everyone else or industry and carry on like you can't make a difference. But you really can. All of us can. And if everyone starts to live more sustainably, the markets must switch and follow us, the people, the workers. That's the way it works, and that's how we get more bicycle lanes and a more sustainable Earth, where our friends and family can prosper. Was the petty revenge justified? Comment below and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.